Thank you very much indeed, Alison, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to day three of our conference. And today, as you've heard from Alison, we're going to be focusing on the future of housing, and it's going to be absolutely in the spotlight of our considerations during today as an essential part of any successful reform of our health and social care system. I just wanted to reflect on the last 2 days and a few things that really stood out for me in the many excellent contributions that we've had on the main platform and indeed throughout the conference. I think the first thing I was going to just highlight again is the thread of integration that has been very evident in many of the contributions we've heard, both from our Welsh and English ministers talking about it playing a critical part in the redesign of health and social care. And I think we also heard from Rafa Bengoa yesterday, really endorsing the importance of the emergence of integrated care systems here in England and the efforts to integrate health and care in other home nations across the United Kingdom, and how this was something that other European countries would do well to follow and learn from. So I thought that was really important. Alison's already touched on this and referred to Andy Begley's remarks yesterday about data. And I just wanted to sort of pick this up as well, because it has been a consistent thread over the first 2 days. We heard George Crooks on Monday talking about citizens becoming the point of data integration, a point echoed yesterday by Ian McBeath, who's the Director of Adult Social Services up in Bradford, when he spoke about the need to humanise big data. And we also heard from the ADAS president, James Bullion, acknowledging that there's a need for a new culture in social care about how we approach sharing data in a safe way, but in a way that actually allows us to act in a more proactive way. And also, I think, a recognition by many of our speakers that there is an abundance of data across our healthcare and, I would say, housing sectors that could be used more effectively to make a difference in people's lives. But at the moment, there's too much of a shortage, really, of insight from that data. We also have heard a lot about the importance of proactive and preventative care, the model that Alison outlined on Monday, which was then further developed in the launch of the joint work that ADAS and the TSA have been doing. It's clearly becoming a shared ambition of many policymakers, both at government level, at local government level, and across the industry. And we have both ministers talk on Monday about this, and particularly Vaughan Gething talking about how the research was showing that the role that technology-enabled care can play in a proactive and preventative and personalised approach, that it was demonstrating through that research powerful contributions to people's well-being, and also, importantly, delaying or preventing the onset of greater needs. And we also heard the voice of lived experience, as we will again today during the conference, when Rachel Mason powerfully spoke about people who find themselves living a service rather than a life, and just how important it is that when we think about the services that we are wrapping around people to support them, that those are focused on the outcomes that people really want in terms of their own lives. And we also heard very much about the point that Alison has just made, that central message about the empowerment of the citizen to be able to control and shape the care and support that they need. And we've heard some really clear messages about the call to action from across the sector with our partners in ADAS and elsewhere in the work that we published yesterday jointly with ADAS, and James Bullion calling for a dedicated programme to support the move to citizen-powered, data-driven care sector, and particularly that focus on personalised, proactive and preventative technology-enabled care. And David Pearson, my colleague at the TSA, talking about technology as being an essential plank in any reform of the health and social care system. But I think we also heard some messages that, if you like, are about tempering that ambition with some realism. We heard George Crooks on Monday talking about the legacy of the pandemic, that our way out of the pandemic is not a straightforward linear way out, that there is a long tail of people who have been out of sight really since December of 2019, who are in many cases deconditioned physically and mentally. And he talked of over 600,000 people who would have been expected to turn up into primary care services and elsewhere during the course of the last year in Scotland, who have not done so. Where are they? What are their needs? What has happened to them? And we also heard from Ian McBeath warning, I think quite rightly, about the economic and social impacts of the pandemic that will be felt for many years to come. But I think for me, the thing that's been most powerful about the first 2 days, and I hope will be for the next 2 days, has been the most really the importance of the way in which the messages that people have been giving us from all sorts of points of view have been so clearly aligned. And I think that reflects 5 years of work by the TSA to reposition itself, but also to partner and work with many others. And I think what we've seen is the realization that the tech sector can't be a siloed cousin, as Alison was talking about, and that interoperability isn't just a technical agenda, it's also the way in which we work and collaborate with one another that is essential to that. And we heard Vaughan Gething, the Minister from Wales, talking about that commitment to partnering and testing new ground as being part of the ambition as well. And Rafa Bengoa, the chair of our commission, making it very clear that the plan that we've set out collectively together in that commission's work is very much intended to be a guide and a roadmap for the future, which we hope government will pick up. And I think this alignment is priceless. It is a great opportunity. And I think what we now need is for government to take a lead, to take up the ideas that ADAS and the TSA have put forward in the plans that we published yesterday. So moving on to today and our session today. And our focus is shifting to the role of housing. And yesterday, James Bullion spoke about how health and well-being is so strongly influenced by the environments in which we live and also the relationships that we have. So I'm really delighted that we'll be starting this session today with a presentation by colleagues of mine from the Social Care Institute for Excellence, who have over the last few months been running a commission jointly with Dunhill Medical Research, looking at the options for housing. And I think in a way it's a recognition that not only should technology be seen as an essential plank of any future reform of health and social care, so too must housing be seen as an essential plank in that reform. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what Catherine Smith and Trevor have to say in their presentation. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to them to start today's presentations by talking about flexible support settings for healthier older age. Over to you, Catherine.